were the difference makers in this game, as much as Makinson's a brilliant try saver was crucial and Farge was exceptional. Walmsley's 154 metres. He was the only forward to come onto the pitch and start to penetrate, but once he started to penetrate, other forwards were able to penetrate too. Tommy Makinson, 214 metres he had. A good return.
Yes.
Great to see him back and playing well. James Roby, 104 metres for the evergreen James Roby. John Wilkin with try assist, 60 tackles, and 14 of them were marker tackles, so big effort as well from Wilkin. And Theo Farge to finish this off. 1 try and 42 tackles, only 1 missed tackle from the young French halfback. They're the sorts of numbers, if you remember, in the first season of Super League Pod, we talked about 2 or 3 times, maybe more, when he was still at Salford.
Yes. Yeah, he's not shy getting stuck in, is he? Who stood out for Leeds?
Callum Watkins made 165 metres, including that big arcing run that set up the room for Sutcliffe not to capitalise on Makinson's brilliant tackle. Mitch Garber, 130 metres, he was consistent throughout. Jamie Jones-Buchanan is still doing it. 49 tackles, 14 of which were marker tackles. It's like it's 2016 all over again for JJB.
He's not olden, he's golden.
Brad Singleton, 43 tackles, 14 marker tackles, so he did it tough as well there. And then Joel Moon, he grabbed the 1 try and 3 successful offloads, so he was a creative force for the Rhinos at least.
Yeah, fantastic to see him doing that. Oh, he's not in my dream team anymore, so I don't have any strong feelings. This was a defensive masterpiece for me from St Helens. We've had a lot of talk about Leeds being a bit toothless in attack, and perhaps there are things for them to fix up. But what I'm coming to like about watching Saints is that I don't watch a Saints game hoping for what we perhaps were hoping for from the Castleford-Leigh match 24 hours later, which is expansive, exciting, attacking rugby league.
It's not the Sean Long and Tommy Martins.
No, it's not. Which makes it all the more remarkable that Sean Long has as much an influence on this team as he does as assistant to Kieran Cunningham. What you get with St Helens, first of all, what a pack they've got there, and once that starts rolling over the season on drier, warmer traps, they'll take some stopping. But this team, again, just backs itself defensively to the point where they're prepared to give away penalties inside their own 20, inside their own 10, to give themselves the opportunity to get back and set the line and go at you for another set, which is a risky tactic unless you're very confident. And there was times when John Wilkin was prepared to give a penalty away. They were keeping Leeds players down because they backed themselves.
There was 2 occasions where they were lucky to not see a sin bin.
It's
John
a
Wilkin,
fine line to tell, I'll give you that.
I think Percival maybe on the second one I'm thinking of. But there was a couple of times where the holding down was beyond the line of just slowing down the play. It was borderline, but it's what they do, and they do it so well.
Yeah.
And the fact that Leeds started so many sets around the 30-20 area and didn't look dangerous whatsoever in any of those. The few times they looked like breaking St Helens were midfield stuff, like the Callum Watkins one we talked about.
Yeah. No, so credit to Saints, if that's how they're going to go about doing it, from my point of view, it was enjoyable to watch, because you can marvel at the execution of that tactic for that prolonged period of time. And they did it very, very well. If they do that this year, they're not going to be the Saints of old, the entertainers, but they're going to begin with a shout if they can do that against everybody and back themselves to score when they get the opportunity, but know that they will keep teams to low numbers. That's obviously the way that things have been going for the last 18 months with them. Maybe now it's bearing fruit.
2.5 years.
Well, probably so, yeah.
Apart from a spell in the middle of last season where they were bad defensively, outside of that probably 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But did you think it was a misprint when you saw the team line up with no Roby in the starting line?
It made me question what they were going to do. But the more the game went on, the more convinced I was that actually it wasn't a bad decision to make, because it was giving Roby... Look, it's a cold night. He might have been carrying a bit of a...
If they'd have taken him back off, then it would have been completely balmy, because he made the game run so much smoother for them than Tommy Lee was able to do. As soon as he was off, Walmsley and Luke Thompson were able to drill holes, and even people like Payru were finding holes. And I've not seen him find a hole for St Helens yet, really.
Payru played better in the second row for St Helens than I've seen him play as a centre all year from last year.
Yeah, he had his best game in a Saints that I'd seen personally.
Yeah. Now, I take your point about James Roby, though, but I think it's because the Saints players around him, that pack around him, know him better, can time his runs in their own mind,
also,
and know that they get better service.
Better.
Exactly. Yes, he is, but what it brings you is that Leeds get this kind of, they get used to the rhythm of the game with Tommy Lee being a bit workmanlike, and then all of a sudden there's a different calibre of player on the field, and it just stretches the game that little bit more and gives them something else to think about. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad tactic to deploy from time to time. James Roby isn't getting any younger. Does managing him mean you get better from him in terms of a 65-minute display or a 55-minute display?
Well, you've still got 30-odd tackles, 104 metres, didn't you?
Which goes to show it paid off then. It's a good choice. But you're right, it was certainly, to get to your point, and as much as I'm defending Tommy Lee, it was a massive fucking surprise.
I've got one more point to make. It's a slight negative for Saints. We've covered lots of positives. I want to point that out to any Saints people who think I'm just being a dick. But Douglas had his worst performance I've ever seen him play.
Yeah,
I've never seen him play as poorly. He started the game shockingly and was culpable for a lot of the reason why Leeds were in the ascendancy territorial in that first half, certainly the first 25 minutes or so. But outside of him as a bad performer, I don't think there was a bad performer.
Yeah, he dished out a lot of penalties. And the good thing from St Helens' point of view is that if Luke Douglas doesn't fix his performances
he dropped a lot of ball.
If he doesn't fix his performances up, there's a young man called Walker who came in from OKR who would be raring to go and is a very, very good prop forward. So
not as young as his text recipients, but...
Although clearly he was fully exonerated from that. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so whilst that was going on then, over at the plastic...
If we were This Week in League, we would just make that joke and let it lie and not feel the need to clarify that was a joke.
I know, but we're nicer people, Mark.
And we have a softer British mentality.
I think day to day we are nicer people. We're a bit more forgiving of people that have done nothing wrong, aren't we? Okay, whilst that was going on, and whilst Adam Walker had plenty of time to do some texting, Widnes were getting beaten 28 points to 16 by the Huddersfield Giants over at the Select Security Stadium. It was a comfortable 28 points to 16 victory in the end for the Giants. Widnes had led early on through Charlotte Runciman's try before Joe McGilvray had crossed to put the Giants 6-4 ahead. Huddersfield dominated from then on with further tries for McGilvray, Lee Gaskell and Tom Simmons, giving them a 14-point lead at half-time. The teams exchanged tries during the second half, and that was all she wrote.
Paul O'Brien got in touch. He said, great start from the Vikings, then it all went downhill. Gave away the ball far too easily. Hanbury had an awful game under the high balls. Jeremiah, Dudson and Houston were our standout players. Going to be a long season.
Jay Green said, one of the games I thought Widnes could have won this year. There is no bright side at the minute. I really hope we stay away from the £1 million game.
That's the gloomiest match review I think I've ever read. Stark honesty there. Mark W, who's obviously going to be happier, Giants fan, he said completely unrecognisable from the Giants of 2016.
Because half of them aren't there. More than half of them aren't playing.
Much more energy, better organisation, faster attack. Scoreline flattered Widnes, if I'm honest. Fergie and Brough outstanding. One down.
There you go.
Dot.
Yeah, Tony McHugh, the Runcorn Celt, said... Runcorn Celt, even. Said Brough bossed the game for Huddersfield and Hanbury had a nightmare with 3 knock-ons. Huddersfield strong in their pack and used the ball better than Widnes.
And finally, Paul Ludo Lewis says, what's happened to Hanbury? I've always said he only drops 3 balls a season. He dropped 3 in the first half and knocked on, all of which led to Giants tries. We were poor throughout and only improved when Gilmore went off injured. Jeremiah moved to number 7. Now Gilmore is out injured alongside Mellor. I expect the club to spend no money and stick another championship quality halfback in with Craven instead. We're fucking doomed.
That's bleak. If you want bleak, I'll see your Mark W.
Yeah, but he puts
Jay Green and raise you a Ludo.
But he puts the emphasis in there to sort of, I think that's bad.
Yeah,
that's damning. Jay's is bleak.
True. What was the? You're not going to know this. Who was the Scottish army guy in Dad's army? I'll have to find it out. He was the "we're all doomed" guy. So, what did the stats tell us on this one?
Stats say the Giants deserved the win. Almost 300 more metres, and crucially they created 3 more clean breaks that they converted into 3 more tries than their host. Both sides made double figures in errors, something they'll look to sort out quickly though. Obviously Hanbury responsible for a bulk of those.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he did some good stuff too. We'll find
Stop
out.
looking at the world through hand-tinted glasses. It sounds like he had an absolute shitter.
Dale Ferguson didn't have one of them.
Fergie Fergs.
He had a try assist, 8 tackle busts, 104 metres and 3 clean breaks. So obviously a powerful outing for Ferguson back in Super League.
Good
Leroy Cudjoe, Captain Cudjoe, a try, 2 try assists, 11 marker tackles, so working hard both ways. Sebastian Ikehifo, the smart people will have put him in their dream team for his 7 tackle busts, 129 metres, 3 successful offloads.
Can I assume in your dream team? Yeah, there we are.
Clearly potential for being an impact performer now. He's got his fitness together, maybe. And then Aaron Murphy with a try, 5 tackle busts, 137 metres, and his wing partner on the other side, Jerry McGilvery, 2 tries, 131 metres, back doing it Jerry style.
Did anybody do anything decent for Widnes?
Well, talking about people who, picked up where they left off last year, Hep Cahill, 51 tackles, 10 of which were marker tackles, 127 metres. This all coming off the bench for Hep Cahill, so still a solid acquisition for any Dream Team owners, even though his price skyrocketed after last season's monster year. Reece Hambry, a try assist, 6 tackle busts. There you go.
Who would you say you're more conflictingly aroused by, Hep Cahill or Reece Hambry?
Well,
because you're a big fan of both these boys.
I think it's a bigger conflict with Hep Cahill because I think he could do me more damage. Do you know what I mean?
You need it replacement.
I think with
Reece Hambry, it'd be more.
I'd have an opportunity to maybe sometimes take the male role.
You could
whereas with
Hep Cahill, you're Hep Cahill's twink all day long, mate. I would say. Listen, this is the type of match that and people have alluded to.
We shouldn't define gender roles so specifically.
No, you can be fluid. Sexuality is a fluid thing, Mark. Go with what you feel. Don't you worry about it. Listen, this is the type of match that Widnes needed to be winning if they're going to have any hope of doing anything other than finishing in the bottom 2 for me this time out. It was a team that played in the middle 8s. It was at home. It was everything. The stars were aligned for them to do something. The more and more I look at Widnes, the more and more I look at a stagnant, uninvigorated squad that are really going to struggle now with even more injuries in the halves. Creativity is there with people like Reece Hambry, but he's not going to get the opportunities that he would have had previously, I don't think. The pack is going to get beaten 11 games out of 12 for me. I don't want to rub salt in the wounds for Widnes fans, but I really worry based on what I've seen.
They've got a lot of salary cap space out there that they would have been spending this year had Kevin Brown been inside.
Yeah.
I've not heard of any mega bucks deals going through since that happened to keep any of the players they've got. So that money must still be there. And in the business plan, the cleverly thought out business plan that Widnes have had to operate, because let's face it, they were an absolute shitstorm for a number of years.
Yeah.
Which is why they didn't get a Super League licence first time around, which is why it wasn't a cut and dry thing necessarily going into when they did get back into Super League. But they worked hard, they sorted that stuff out, they got their books balanced, they have a sensible business model, they plan, they progress their squad well. We know all this about Widnes, but they have that money there for that X Factor player, for that spark player, whatever you want to refer to that.
That unquantifiable,
that untangible, yeah. The problem is, who did they spend it on?
Well, it's too early in the season. No one's out of favour. No one's suddenly found themselves out of form to be given an opportunity at Widnes yet.
Exactly.
NRL teams aren't going to put people out. So unless you're looking at
team in the NRL, unless there's a team in the NRL that really want to promote one of their youngsters and therefore have an opening to let someone go, and someone maybe might want to take a 1-year deal, taking up Kevin Brown's money,
but I suspect,
to see how they go. I don't see where that player is.
No,
but if they can find that player, if they can find the Sandow kind of that Warrington brought in, Kane didn't perform great, but they'd be bringing him earlier in the year.
Well, they brought him in midway through the season, and that's the point.
If an NRL need to bring him in now,
if an NRL team wants to do as you just said and promote a youngster and stick with him, they will have already. At that point, their cap's sorted, isn't it? They're not going to take a risk. They're going to insure their risk, aren't they? So that we're going to promote young halfback A. We're not going to let veteran halfback B go until we're completely confident that he's in and he's settled and he's sorted. And at that point, so you're talking at least a third of the season before that scenario even becomes viable.
The kind of players they have to look at is people who have shown that they're only average at Super League level in the past. People like, I don't know, to throw names out there randomly, like Isaac John or someone, because he's about 6th in the pecking line at Penrith, if he's still even there, I don't know.
I know Harry Saker's not got a gig. You could have Leon Price. There's two options for you.